Something in my throat. Mm-hmm.
Hey, yo.
Shut up. Ready? My name is Melissa Rochelle, and I am a relationship coach, and I am joined today by my husband, Coach Clark.
Hi, everyone, and let's get right to it. So where we left off last week, we were discussing the difference between marrying potential versus marrying vision. And if you don't mind, Coach Mel, could you please break down as much detail as you can the difference between the two?
Yeah, so potential means I see something in you, but your current actions and behaviors in the present are not aligned with what I see in you. Versus with vision, it means that your current actions and your current behaviors are starting to take the steps to get you toward that vision. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if I understood correctly, someone with a vision is someone who, if they want to own a clothing company, they're taking classes on how to sew. They're actively looking for internships or mentorships from local designers. Reading books about fashion, the history of fashion, things like that, and how to run your business. That will be someone who's actively participating in this vision. And someone who has potential, it could be someone with a really high IQ or someone with talent. And if they only applied themselves, then they could blah, 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 blah. So potential is, from my understanding, is like a lot of like, if he would only, or if she would only, then he would, she would, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Versus vision is they are.
Right.
They're in the process.
They're taking the steps to get there. Yeah.
Got it. Do you believe that, well, it's the name of our company. Do you believe that individuals can develop better when they have a partner, when they're doing it with their significant other, as opposed to doing it by themselves? So like maybe someone can like motivate them and hold them accountable.
Yeah, I think so. I think it makes a huge difference. There's this idea that people should be completely where they want to be in life before they get married. And unfortunately, it doesn't really work out that way. And it's not necessary either, so.
I'm glad you said that, because right now what's going to make them rounds on social is, men have to have everything put together to be considered by these women who may or may not have everything put together themselves. So then I'm trying to think of the better question here, because I understand the premise, but we don't know, like the people who we decide to date or the people who decide to give a chance to, right? They may or may not do certain things because of their upbringing reasons, right? And so, for example, you're saying that you think women should prefer vision over potential? Are you saying just ignore potential altogether?
I mean, if I'm honest, it would be ignore potential. Because when we're looking at potential, we're creating an idealistic image of who that other person is, even though we don't have any proof that that's who that person is.
I do understand that. Isn't a coach's job to tap into, in sports, tap into said individual's potential and help them realize their potential so they can envision who they can actually become?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, someone who doesn't have vision isn't likely to hire a coach. So
Right.
Because they're not really taking active steps to get toward where they want to go. They're stuck at potential. Do you get what I mean?
I get what you mean, but again, I love basketball and I love great coaching. And I could see what one player can be playing under one coach and nothing, and all of a sudden this coach knows how to tap into the potential that they have and get the best out of said player. Why I'm saying that is because I'm not ashamed of it, because I think that's what you did with me.
What's with that you're referencing?
What I think you did with me is, well, you were also much younger than you are now, because we've been together going on 23 years. But I think you saw potential. You saw that I wasn't a threat. You saw that I was a genuine person, and you were like, okay, I can work with this almost, because a lot of the vision, if I have to be honest, came from you. A lot of the vision for business ownership and so on and so forth came from you, and I developed, per se, a lot later. And once I understood, I'm like, oh, okay, so I get it now. But at the same time, when you met me, did you see vision or did you see potential?
Well, there's two. We have to make sure that we're setting the stage for that. We're having so we're having the same conversation. Just so I want to say this, right? For the rest of this episode, anything that I say in relation to relationships that are not my own personal relationship is going to be targeted toward people 25 plus. Okay. So I want to make sure I say that because there's a difference in being 25 plus and being under 25.
Correct. And we met under 20.
Right. So as a matter of fact, there's proof that getting married under 25 actually increases your chances of divorce. So I just want to make sure that I say that when we're having these conversations, I'm coming from a space of I'm talking to an audience 25 plus. Right. Okay. So that doesn't mean people under 25 can't, grab some information. They absolutely can. But I do want to put it out there that studies do show that it's best to get married 25 or over.
Okay.
So give me your question again, and then I'll try and answer it, because I can't really answer that question from a personal space.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will tie that to, I think they're Gen Z, right? If I'm mistaken, I don't know, I'll call it epidemic, whatever, but there's a lot of Gen Zers who just kind of gave up, or they're living at home, or let's say they went to college, they graduate, they're not getting the job that they wanted with their degree, and they're not really doing it. They have what's called failure to launch. That's really where they don't really work. They're just kind of just there. They don't really know what they're doing themselves, right? This is something that apparently is increasing prevalent. Like I remember when we were in high school, it was like the American dream, go to college, $50,000 was you're making a lot of money, right? In the 90s, right? Go to college, get this paper, go make $50,000, go buy a house, go buy a Lexus, go get married, have a nice day, right? No, that's clearly not the case anymore. So with 25 and up, people who are 25 years old and up, but 25 to 35-year-olds, right? Who feel like the system failed them, it's like hustle culture. Everything is like, I gotta hustle, right? I gotta Uber Eats, I gotta Lyft, and so on and so forth, right? They oftentimes, from my understanding, don't even realize what they want to really do until a lot later. So for example, with us, we started to figure out, for the most part, force ourselves to figure out what we want to do freshman, junior year of college, right? A lot of times. Now it's like, if they even go to college, right? They come out of college not really being happy with what they have and not really knowing what they want to do. I'm saying this because in terms of vision, Because if a woman goes to school, goes to college, and she's 25 years old, she has her master's, whatever the hell she's doing, right? Okay. And she's just starting her corporate job, right? The chances of the guy she's going to meet, who's going to be at 25 years old and, be her type, if you know what I mean, right? We're talking about Black people, right? That she's going to meet. I don't know if those chances are high.
You're saying you don't know if her chances are high of meeting a 25-year-old man with a master's. Did I understand that correctly?
Not necessarily master's, but just a 25-year-old guy who either I know what I want, I know what I'm going for, and he's focused on it, and basically vision. Now, the guy she meets can have a sense of humor. He could be smart. He could be this. He could be that. Again, potential. And he may not even realize the potential that he has. And from my personal experience, a good woman can actually point things out to you that you didn't even know you had in yourself, depending on your upbringing, right? I had an upbringing of where I was pretty enmeshed with my mother. So it's what she liked, I liked. That's kind of like what it was, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to say something about that here. I hear what you're saying, but it is not a woman's job to parent her man. As a matter of fact, when she gets into a space where she's parenting her man, she can lose respect for him.
Yeah, I hear that.
So it is his responsibility to go and give himself the tools or the skills that his parents didn't give him. That's his responsibility. It's kind of like we talk a lot about in the Black community about being a born again Christian, and no one sees. It's like everyone understands that concept. I'm a born again Christian. This means that now I'm going to do things more differently, right? Now that I know better, I'm going to do better type of thing. And there's a thing called reparenting, which is basically you reparenting yourself in the areas that your parents kind of dropped the ball in. And I think that every adult who didn't have that good parent, that solid parenting, I don't know a better word for it, should take on the journey of reparenting themselves so that they can learn the skills and gain the tools that they need in order to create their vision. But we can't put that on the partner to do that for him. You understand what I'm saying? It's just not her responsibility. So that's what I would say to any young man watching this. It's your responsibility. And there are coaches out there are therapists out there are tools out there that can help you through that reparenting process so that you are not putting that weight onto your partner.
I understand what you're saying, because one of the complaints I hear about women is they want to marry their moms. Like men want a woman to be their mothers, pretty much.
Yeah, it's kind of like we were talking about in the last episode about the majority of divorces being filed by women. It's also true that even when a woman's income is higher than her husband, she still does the majority of the housework. So there's a lot happening that men are not paying attention to. So there's a lot of complaining about, it's the women's fault and they're the ones filing for divorce and things like that. And to be honest with you, I believe that when one partner is unhappy, chances are the other one is too, right? But there's usually one partner who's more vocal about it than the other. And a lot of times the more vocal, and a lot of times the more vocal partner is typically the woman, right? So
until she stops talking, then it's not good.
Right, then it's not good. Versus the man, even if he's not happy and even though he's not filing for divorce, they still tend to resign themselves in that relationship. So even though they're not like, hey, let me go get a divorce or whatever, that doesn't mean that they are happy in the relationship. They could, a lot of times they just resign themselves and they just give up altogether. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I just there's just so much in this subject, because
like if you remember, one of my cutting you off, by the way. It's like with our sons, one of my biggest fears is to raise a mama's boy. I tell you that all I'm like and a lot of times men may not, and men and women who don't have sons may not know this, but parenting a boy as a woman is really, really complex, because there's a really fine line between emasculating him and nurturing him. You know what I mean? Like it's a really complex thing to navigate. And any woman watching this who has a son, I want to say, do womankind a favor and don't raise mama's boys, because those men not only make their relationships hard for their partner, they go through a lot internally as well. They struggle with a lot internally as well.
Yeah. And with that said, those women raising mama's boys are raising boys to become the men that they complain about.
Right.
Because I've never heard a single woman say, "Ooh, I love a mama's boy." Ever in life. But I know several, definitely heard of women saying that they want their sons to, jokingly worship the ground they walk on.
Yeah.
Right. That's my mama biscuits, like Mark used to say, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is loaded, because I think the issue is this, right? Okay. The chances of a Black child not being raised by their mother, other than the grandmother issue, blah, 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 or is very low.
Yeah.
Right? Whether he or she is growing up in a 2-parent household or a single parent household, more times than not, the mother's going to be there. Like way more times than not. Now, in regards to the father, the chances of a Black child being raised by a father, whether it's in a 2-parent household or single father, according to the numbers, that's less than half, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I think something like almost 70%, about 70% of Black households are led by single mothers. Yeah. I could be wrong on that. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it is a large amount.
Right. So again, I was off because I said less than half are, but it's actually 75%.
But no.
So, or 70%.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm not certain on that.
I was actually doing some numbers today and just about that. But so with that said, we were saying before how the notion that women can't raise boys to be men and men can't raise girls to be women and everything. It's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What defines being a man or a woman is basically, first, you're a human being.
Yeah, you're a person.
You're a person. As a matter of fact, you gave a great example last time we were talking. That's like saying, because some men were saying, you can never understand what it's like to be a woman, can never understand what it's like to be a man, and a man can never understand what it's like to be a woman.
Yeah.
And then you said, use an example. Well, in that case, people get dogs and pets. You don't know what it's like to be that dog or pet, but you get a manual, you listen to the vet, you know and you figure out how to raise that dog.
You learn how to parent that dog.
You learn how to parent that dog. Now, I'm not trying to compare people to dogs, but hopefully people can understand the example. So, again, it's like, girls go through whatever. Yeah, there's how many books about girl dads and this, that, and the other. There's how many books about boy moms and how to not raise a mama's boy and all this other stuff and everything, right? And so where I'm going with this was, I think I lost it, but where I'm going with this is there it is. Okay. Where I'm going with this was, if less Black children have fathers in their home, and let's go down to boys, less of them, because boys growing up, if they're growing up in a single parent household, and it's a mother, which is more likely the case, they know what a hardworking woman looks like. She works, probably 2 jobs. She cooks, she cleans, she protects, she takes him to his games. She literally does everything, right? Also, girls know what a hardworking woman is like. And that can make them do 2 things. It can make them either become that woman or with their mother too, make them become as far away from that woman as possible. Meaning, she doesn't want kids, which is happening more and more. And she's going to take care of herself, take herself to vacation, treat herself. She's never going to be under the control of a man. So what I'm seeing happening is this. A lot of our Black kids in Black children in our community are being raised in single parent households, literally mainly led by women. And the result is the women are saying, well, here I am. The daughters, whether women are saying it or not, the daughters are watching their mothers struggle, never have free time for themselves, and be doing everything. Meanwhile, the men are seeing their mothers do everything. And so now when they go out there in the dating field, they expect, well, you're a woman, so my mom cooked, cleaned, took me to games, took care of me, nurtured me while I played video games and never complained. Why are you complaining?
Yeah, but they also expect their wife to do more than their mother, because they also, on top of the cooking, the cleaning, the working outside the house, they also expect sex, right? So they're expecting even more from their partner, from their wife, than they ever even expected from their mother. It's absurd.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is that that's part of the problem. So it's like, again, the women are, again, one of two things can become, my job as a woman is to be super busy soccer mom. And, you know, the stereotype, I saw a stereotype on Twitter where they said the single mother starter kit. It's like a Nissan Altima. It's like a certain haircut. She has 2 boys, take them to soccer, football practice, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Right. And if we really want, because men would be like, oh, women should never say they can do both. But man, like, again, if you grew up with your father, God bless you. You know, I envy you. You know what I'm saying? God bless, well, with a good father, right? But for those that didn't, it's like there's so many examples of that being prevalent in the community, and yet, the idea is that men should not be raised by single mothers. And so how all this is related, because I know I'm kind of shifting a little bit, how all this is related is this. If I was raised by a single mother, which I was, and I saw my single mother implement her plan, go back to school, pay for this, pay for that, do everything, right? And there was no Clark, figure this out, or Clark, you need to do this, or Clark, or seeing a male example of doing certain things, right? It typically, and because you only know, I forgot how it goes. There's known knowns, known unknowns, unknown knowns, and unknown unknowns, right? So unknown unknown, I don't know that I'm supposed to even have. If I don't know that I'm supposed to even have a vision, I'm gonna go to college. Well, I'm supposed to do this thing. I'm gonna grow up and be in my mid-20s, and then here I'm trying to date. Meanwhile, the girl I'm trying to date, let's say, i.e., you know how many alpha women are in your family? Like that you already know, right? Every one of your family is a professional, literally every single one, right? And so you go up and meet this girl, and all she knows is super busy type A women who are on top of their crap, blah, blah, blah. And she's going to go, well, what's your vision? He's like, what the hell is that? What's a vision? So why I'm saying that in regards to grace, because I did not see a male figure planning and here's what we're going to go to church, and here's head of household. I've never seen that. I've seen women, I've seen multiple mothers do that. Friends of mothers of friends and everything else on multiple occasions. That's easy. Too many examples. Male led, can't think of any. Maybe one. I can't think of any. So now, when you go in, I know I'm talking for a while. So for now, when you go out into the world, these girls who are raised by these super moms, they're one way or the other have their ish together, right? They're either, I'm never going to be this, that when my mom is struggling and I'm going to get my own, or they know how to juggle a bunch of things all together. Meanwhile, the dudes are used to everything being done for them. So then, you meet a man, he doesn't have a vision. Well, who taught him what a vision, like how does one know what a vision is? Now, he could be smart, he could be intelligent, he could have, wow, you're really good at drawing, you're really good at designing, whatever it is, potential. But he doesn't know what to even do. He doesn't know what his potential is, and he doesn't even know what to do with this potential to let alone have a vision for it.
Right, which is why.
So go ahead.
Which is
Where's
why
the grace
I say
there?
the grace is there. You can empathize with someone, but doesn't mean you have to date them. The grace is there, but you empathize and you say, you had it rough, and not having a father to show you this and that. That doesn't mean you have to date him, right? He absolutely can hire a coach. He absolutely can go to a therapist. He absolutely can There are workbooks out there that he can use. He can do it on his own. He doesn't need a woman to do it for him. He just doesn't.
I get that. And I understand the argument women have, like, oh, I don't have to be your mom. I understand.
Because when she takes on those responsibilities, she starts to lose attraction. It's just not a good dynamic to be in.
I understand. Yeah. But the same way, other end of the spectrum, right? Men have to understand that these women who were raised by super women don't know how to be soft most of the time. Don't know how to, let's say you have your stuff together, don't know how to typically follow a man's lead because they've never seen it before.
I understand.
So what I'm trying to say is this. I understand what you're saying because I thought, I understand what you're saying about, you should look to marry vision over potential. And maybe I'm taking this personal because as someone who didn't have vision and now I do, like, how many, again, you said there's good reasons and bad reasons to break up. How many good relationships to good men that X amount of women lost because, well, he wasn't a package yet?
Yeah, I don't think he should be a final package, but he should still have vision. There's a difference between the two. Vision means you're taking the steps. It's like you're hitting those micro goals to get to the big goal. Okay. That's what it means.
What age do you remember having a vision at?
Oof. Pretty young.
Right. So already, and ask me when. We're a full-fledged adult when I actually snapped. So
right, I understand that. Nevertheless, like I said, it's just not a good dynamic when the woman feels like she's mothering him. It's just it's not good for the couple. She's going to start to lose attraction. She's going to start to lose respect. It's just not a good dynamic for either partner to be in, because even the man himself in that dynamic will feel emasculated. It's just not a good dynamic to be in.
Like I said, I fully understand that. But then, because unfortunately, the majority of these men, like, again, so, okay. Do you feel like most parents are have high emotional intelligence and understand how to speak to their kids without it being like a yelling, dismissive?
I would say no. I don't have anything to back that, but I would say
just
no.
Just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm saying is because just because someone is a single mom doesn't mean that they're a good single mom either.
No, as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, single moms are more likely to over-punish their children when there isn't a father in the home.
Explain that to me. Because a lot of guys say that what happens is when there's no man at the house, there's lack of discipline. But what did the statistics say?
It says that single moms tend to over-punish their children when there isn't a man in the house.
In what ways?
Because she overcompensates for trying to play both nurturer and discipliner. And she can overcompensate in doing so, and then which can also lead to, unfortunately, the young man feeling a little bit emasculated because even though she's his mother, it still, doesn't feel so good, right?
To get treated like that by a woman.
Period. Yeah. It just doesn't feel so. Even though you understand it's an adult, it's your mother. It just doesn't feel so good. Like my personal belief, and a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but my personal belief is that a mother should never, ever spank her son. It's just when they're little, they're tiny, you swat them on the hand, don't touch it. That's not what I'm referencing. I know you know what I mean. I'm not talking about, that's not, I'm not talking about the little pat on the butt, like don't touch that, it's hot, or that's not included what I'm saying. I just don't believe it's something that should be done.
And a father should never spank his daughter.
I don't believe a father should ever spank his daughter. As a matter of fact, I don't believe parents should spank, period. Okay. You know that already. Yeah. But I'm just saying that because the truth is, spanking is really a cop-out. We can tell ourselves that it's for the child's sake, but it's actually because it's easier for us.
We do it out of frustration.
We do it out of frustration. We do it out of anger, and it's also easier for us. Emotional intelligence is a lot harder, right?
And plus, the book, I forgot the book you read, where a lot of the DNA from our ancestors from being slaves that were beaten was basically kind of passed down.
Not necessarily that. It's more so psychological.
Yeah.
More than anything else. I don't know. It's just not something that, I don't know. I feel like in the Black community, I feel like we have a 3-step process that we need to take very seriously. When I talk about the reparenting, that's not just for men, it's for women also. And that 3-step process is, number one, we need to go through almost like a collective grieving process. Absolutely 100%.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning grieving that we were dealt a bad hand from the beginning. I can't speak for Black people from that never were who on the continent of Africa. I can't speak for them. I'm talking about the rest of us, like, you know, from the transatlantic slave trade. I feel like we were already dealt a bad hand. So there's a lot of grieving that we have to go through, right? So that's step one. Step two
grieving
is
of what?
Grieving of a lot of things. Grieving of not our family dynamics being ripped apart the way that they were, right? Even though we still came back together and figured it out, it's just generational cycles don't just break on their own like that, you know, like somebody has to be willing to do it, right? So anyways, so I'm saying first a collective grieving process. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like to watch Black men and Black women degrade each other, is because we're like taking over from where Massa left off, you know? So there's that. So the grieving process. And step two would be an unlearning process, meaning recognizing which behaviors and which beliefs you have that, and to unlearn them. And then step three would be a relearning process. And basically replacing those negative beliefs, right, with positive beliefs. Does that make sense? So now, how do we get there? I don't know. But we got really off topic, so I don't know what you were saying.
It's again, vision versus potential.
Yeah.
The reason why I was saying is because I get your point. I understand why vision, and I get that, because there's a higher chance that things get somewhere. Because if you fail to planning to fail is fail. Well, I forgot the term. Right? So, but what I'm trying to say is no one. So you're saying, like you said, oh, if someone wants to, you know, vision, you know what, they can do coaching, they can do this and that. I'm talking about right now, people who are not going to watch this podcast, right? There's a dude approaching a woman right now, or they're doing a first phone call, whatever it is, right? And she may or may not have her things going together, but nowadays, a lot of Black women have their stuff together. There, more and more Black women are graduating from college, more Black women are owning businesses, whatever, right? Like fellas, they're leaving us behind. So, right? With that said, like a Black man can emulate his mother's work ethic and think, well, I need to work hard. Or he could think that, because it's not far-fetched for me to think that maybe, okay, yeah, he has to go get a job and blah, blah, but all of the domestic responsibilities still falls on her, because that's what he saw growing up. And the other way, like I said before, the women, that's what they saw their mother do. So again, it's either one way. Either they become their mother, or like, I am never going to be that. Like, I'm going to own my business. I'm going to have nannies. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. I'm going to have surrogates. I'm literally, if I want kids, I'm going to adopt. Like, I'm not going to be my mother. And you hear that quite often. So what I'm trying to say again is in terms of potential versus vision, I did not even know. I think the first time I heard the word vision or really understood about, like, this is something I learned. I learned a lot from you.
I understand that.
But then it's like, oh, you're being my mother, which is fine.
Okay. No. What I'm saying is, it's just not a good dynamic. Okay, it's just not a good dynamic for either partner. So if you're asking no one is saying that the fact that he didn't have someone to teach him was fair.
I understand.
It wasn't fair.
I know, I get that.
But, right? Like,
I get that. But again, the fact of how many of the women your age in your family have said things like, they feel like men their age are regressed.
I don't know about in my family. Other people, yeah, I hear it
Quite
all the
often.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can't speak on it from my
And
family.
what?
Yeah.
Okay, so meaning the ones you know who went on dates or whatever. About okay,
I haven't heard them say that, so I don't want to.
Fine.
I
Well, there
Yeah.
you've definitely heard several women
yeah.
say like the dating pool out there. These men are like they're very immature.
They're
They don't have.
stunted.
They're
Yeah.
stunted.
Yeah.
Okay. And the women. How many times have I heard men say women are stunted? Not now. You have the airheaded, you know, give me a bag, whatever, blah, 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 stereotypes. For me, I don't know why men complain about them. Just leave them alone. That's my recommendation. But on the other end, you hear women all the time saying like, I think I'm good by myself, even though they're not. Because out there, it's just these dudes aren't about anything, blah, 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 right? And what do men do? They go, oh, all black men are bad, and da, da, da.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is can parents stunt the growth of their children, how they raise them?
That's where yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, 2-parent households, you can have 2 crappy parent households.
Yes.
Right? That doesn't mean automatically you're good because we hear really bad stories and I don't want to talk about that, right? Okay. The common denominator from boys being raised and girls being raised in the black community, I don't want to make up a number, but I'm going to say at least 9 out of 10 black kids raised in America is going to have a female figure raising them, whether it's in a 1-parent household, 2-parent household. It's the other way around is this rare. I remember I was in another group chat where we were like, oh, there's a lot of single black men I know that are, I'm like, that have that main custody and they're raising their kids by themselves. And like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but come on, right? So if the common denominator is that there's always a woman involved in the raising process, whether single or not, and if you go by the numbers, there are way more black kids raised in single parent households than any other kids, right? And, you know, now black kids also include boys and girls, black girls and black boys. The girls have an example to either emulate.
Well, no, I disagree with that.
1 second.
Okay.
1 second. They have an example. Again, there's an example. This is a woman. I am a woman. This woman cook, clean, this, that, the other, work their butt off, blah, 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 blah. I can either become this woman or, because typically what do moms do? Get your education. Don't depend on the man. Da, 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 da. And she's doing that because she's beating, like she's kicking her butt, trying to support these children by herself.
Okay.
So the daughter can see this and like, okay, I have 2 options. I become this or I fight hard to never become that and become polar opposite, which then in turn makes her less attractive to women, to men. Because she's all in her masculine, she has her own, I don't need you, blah, 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 blah. The men, on the other hand, are seeing this woman do everything. They're not thinking, man, I need to be like, well, I guess maybe some are. I think I need to be like this woman. What it makes you think of is, oh, this is what women are like. Now, when you look for what men are supposed to be, you can look around. Oh, he has a nice car, he has rims, he's promiscuous, he's in shape, whatever.
Do people still put rims on cars? I feel like I don't see it anymore. Or maybe I'm just not paying attention.
I just age myself. I honestly, I don't know. If they do,
I don't pay attention anyways, but if I'm just curious.
I don't want to offend people, right? But you get what I'm trying to say. It's like, there's a certain, there's a certain look, Jordans, whatever the hell it is, right? It's like, that's what you know, like men, like, you know what I mean? And so when I grew up, I don't remember having this is my personal story. Do I know male professionals? Absolutely. I wasn't raised in a house with them. And so I can look from afar and say, oh, okay, well, he works. Men work. That I know, right? Men work. And what do you hear? Oh, pay bills. Okay, so go to this place, work this many hours, get this check, pay this bill. I've done my job as a man. I didn't see my dad, period. But I didn't see a male figure cooking, cleaning, nurturing, doing all this stuff. That was the woman I saw doing that. So what happens is that woman who is either going to repel that what her mother was or become what her mother is, right, is going to be asked out. Chances are is going to be asked out by a guy who saw his mother being all these things and did not see a male figure being all these things. And he's going to think, okay, all I got to do is ask this girl out, have a job. But in terms of laundry, cooking, whatever, blah, blah, I ain't got to do all that because my mom could do it. You can do it. Matter of fact, a lot of guys use that on women. Like, my mom held the home down and raised 4 kids.
Yeah, but the question I would have for them is, should she have had to? That's the question I would have for them. Should their mother have had to do everything? If
the father was there. Is that what you're trying to say? Or
if he was there, she would have to do everything.
She would not.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm trying to say is he wasn't there.
Okay.
In terms of, and his mom's sister, his aunt, is probably doing the exact same thing, raising 1-2 kids by herself, being a nurse. Okay. His other, that's all he sees. He sees professional women holding everything down.
Therefore, what?
So what I'm trying to say is, when does he have so going back full circle, when does he have the thought of, I need to have a vision versus I just need to get a job to be able to pay bills and that's it? Well,
that's why I said, but that's the thing. He may not now, but that's why these conversations are important. It's important for these conversations to become commonplace within the Black community so that can start to change. Because we can talk about the past all day, but it's already gone, right? So it's about moving forward.
No, I understand. It's just I just feel bad. It's a bad situation because because I understand women should not have to raise men and women should not have to get with a man who they have to mother.
Right.
And I understand that's going to turn her off.
Yes.
But the problem is who was raising him.
I understand.
He was being raised by a woman.
But that's what I'm saying. And I understand that. So then it's already gone. It's already done. So it is now his. It's like there's a quote that says, what happened to you is not your fault, but as an adult, it is your responsibility to do something about it.
Yes.
Whether you're male or female.
Yes. Once the unknown becomes known.
Okay.
But when you don't know what you don't know, how do you know? Like,
Which is why I'm saying that these conversations should become commonplace. We can't do anything about the past.
Okay.
Right? We can't do anything about that.
I hear you. In the Black community.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a statistic for this. Who's more likely to read, men or women?
I don't have that. I don't have that. I can tell you that, girl, I think, you know what? Let me not say that because I'm not certain on that.
Okay. It's okay to guess.
No. I would.
We'll look it up later.
If I had to guess, I would say girls, but it's not race specific. It's just in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
The men book club. It's not something you often hear about. Women book clubs, stereotype, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Black community, who's more likely to get therapy, men or women?
I don't know that either, but I would assume women. Yeah.
Especially given the fact that how many Black, when you go to psychology.com, how many Black men do you see that are therapists?
Yeah.
As opposed to Black women that are therapists, as opposed to men, so it's like, right?
Right. But what is the ask of women there? What is the ask?
What I'm saying, okay. What I'm saying is, unfortunately, here's this pool of men.
Yeah.
And you need to have a vision. No one taught you what the hell a vision was.
Right.
None of my business. Okay, cool. No problem. Leave him alone.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is that woman, remember, I forgot how many Black women outnumber Black men.
Yeah, there's more.
Way more. Yeah. And especially, like, for example, like a city in Atlanta where it's whatever. Right? Okay, cool. Leave him alone. I feel like there are men with potential.
Okay.
That need, like, again, it's going to sound bad, need a Coretta.
Oh.
That need a Coretta, right? To hold it down and be like, hey, babe, I see more in you. I see the potential in you. I think you're out to great things. Here are these great things I see in you. He's gonna be like, what? These aren't things he heard from his mother.
But see, this is where I'm gonna get irritated.
I know.
Because we say, this is where I'm gonna get irritated, right? Because we already start out saying a woman can't raise a man. And yet our solution isn't that other men who do have vision should be the go-to person to help the young man that doesn't have vision to get vision. We're still putting it on the women. But what happened?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. But we're already, it just doesn't make any sense.
You remember when you said, where does she go? Rentadaddy.com or something like that.
Yeah.
Again, like what I'm saying is the problem. Again, I know what the problem starts from.
But the thing is, okay. So the past has already gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's already gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
There's no one doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's about figuring out what we can do to move forward.
Yes.
The man is already where he is.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah.
But it's about finding a way to go forward. And I'm saying the solution is not for women to mother him. That is not the solution.
I agree.
It doesn't work. That dynamic does not work out well. It becomes hard for both partners.
I agree once again that women, I understand the premise of not mothering.
Okay, so then what are we talking about?
I'm trying to tell you something. The pool of men is already low.
Women know that.
Okay. So now the pool of
which is why you'll hear a lot of women, they'll say the solution is that Black women should date out. Okay. Because then it makes their pool a lot bigger. Right? That's why they say that.
Yes. Yeah. And also the thing passport bros.
No, but that's two very different things.
Yeah, and also black men are saying they need to date out too because women, independent women, they're too masculine. They don't know how to blah, blah, blah. And really what it is because I understand why both are saying this because Black men who want to date white women, the chances that a white woman was raised by a single mom is, I don't know how low it is, but it's night and day difference. That white woman saw how her mother treated her father, how her father treated her mother, vice versa. She saw a relationship dynamic. That Latin woman, if I'm mistaken, Latin people, you have a girlfriend at 16, you're married.
I can't speak on their experience.
That was a stereotype. Sorry, don't know.
I don't.
Right. So again, it's like I thought it was an ongoing joke on Twitter. They were saying how Selena Gomez is the only Mexican who can't keep a man or whatever. So because they said it was a stereotype. Basically, go to any of your female Mexican coworkers, every single one of them has a man. Again, stereotypically, right? So what I'm saying is you go to you like, matter of fact, I was talking to the barber today. He was saying how, Black women don't teach their daughters how to keep a man, whatever that means, right? Cool. What I'm trying to say is this. According to statistics, Latin people are married. Asian people are married. White people are married. Middle Eastern people are married. Indian people are married. Black people are not.
Okay. And
so Black people are not, and majority of them are living in single parent households. It will make sense that, well, if you're a woman, a Black woman, and you go and date a Latin dude, the Latin dude probably saw mother and father dynamic. There's a good or higher chance that he saw a mother and father dynamic. The white guy definitely, probably good chance he saw the mother father dynamic. So in other words, that pool is going to be open. So then, but again, coming back to our people, it's definitely, I agree, it's definitely the men who are supposed to lead and kick things off. And, again, chicken or the egg. These daughters who are like, I'm going to do battle by myself, I don't need a man, grew up 9 out of 10 times without a dad. Or if they did have a dad, a lot of these dads are saying, I'm going to give you this college plan so you don't need a man. Right? A lot of guys who complain about that forget that they're raising their daughters to not need men to take care of them. Right? Okay? So, with all that happening, I'm trying to get my thoughts together here. So, with all that happening, it makes sense, in my opinion, why Black women are telling Black women marry out. It makes sense why Black men are telling Black men to marry out.
I actually disagree with that.
One second. Because again, that's fine. But again, we have to, at the end of the day, I feel like both are suffering the same symptom. I think it all roots from fatherless homes because what happens is this. A lot of men blame their mothers for their fathers leaving. Oh, you had an attitude. You had this, you had that, you had that, blah, 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 blah. Right? versus understanding that, well, he still left. He could have left her, but not left you. That's another story, right? Women, again, it's a, like I think we said, it's pathological with some of the men, right? That marry out because a lot of these other dudes are going to have a vision, this, that, and the other. What it sounds like is that's not what you're saying. It just sounds like is Black men are inherently flawed. There's no hope for them.
I wouldn't be a coach if I believed that.
I
don't believe that.
I know you don't.
I believe skills can be learned. I don't believe that.
Yes, skills can be learned, my love. But again, what currently, most people don't even know, this is a guess, don't even know what coaching is.
I get that, which is why I said we need to just start having these conversations.
Okay.
It has to start from somewhere, right?
But where I'm trying to get at is, because in using sports as an analogy, a lot of basketball, I'm a basketball guy, right? A lot of basketball players are drafted strictly off of their potential alone.
Okay.
Now, their work ethic and vision for themselves will end up where you become the Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordans, and LeBron James.
Well, see what you just said there. Work ethic.
Huh?
Therefore, if he has high work ethic, that means there are actions and behaviors that show he has high work ethic. Vision. So that would be vision, not potential. Even though you're saying they're drafted off of potential, that's still vision and not potential.
Okay. I'm gonna be very direct with you.
Yeah.
And Black men watching, I would love to hear comments about this. I don't recall a single time being told by any caregiver, including my mother, that you're smart. You have a lot of potential. You should apply that more often. That thing you're doing there, keep doing it. Good job. Or if you keep applying yourself, you can actually go on to do great things. Right? Never heard these things before.
Understood.
So, and these are things that are important to tell your kids.
Of course.
Like, again, Jerry wants to be, our youngest, Jerry's 11, and he wants to, he loves astronomy. What does he have in his bedroom? A telescope. The school we're trying to get into is a school that has something to do with the sciences. We want to nurture, like our oldest, he wanted to, make his own clothes. We bought him a bunch of like Cricut stuff and to make his own designs and this, that, and the other. You know what I mean?
That's what a parent is supposed to do.
Yes, but is that something other than football, whatever, which happens, right? Is that something that most Black children here, Black boys, I'm gonna say Black boys here, because we got to start with them, because we think Black men should be leaders and heads of households, and in order for them to do so, they got to get their stuff together, right? So, is that what I'm saying? Is that something that most of them hear, and if
heard, right? You mean from their parents?
From their parents. Okay. And in my opinion, from my personal experience, the answer is no. And if the answer is no, then it's like you're going to look towards other examples to figure out what you're supposed to do or be, or so on and so forth. There's a very little chance you have a vision for yourself. So now on the other end, that athlete who has potential is like, do you know how good like a coach? Like, do you know how good you can be?
Yeah.
Do you know how great?
Yeah, their parents should have said that to them. Absolutely. Right. I agree with you. Yeah. They didn't.
And then they're kind of like, okay. And then now they're like, oh, I am pretty good. Okay. Let me keep doing that. And so now what I'm saying is that I don't know if Black men were given that.
They probably weren't.
They weren't. Okay. Now, I could also think that Black women may not have been given that either.
Absolutely, we're not.
But they saw a Black, 9 out of 10 times, they saw, I'm not saying good, I'm talking about the good parents, right? They saw a Black woman doing everything.
Yeah, but that's still not vision.
It's not vision, but seeing the Black woman realize, okay, I need to do this, take care of that, everything, right? They can see it by actions, how their Black mother is carrying themselves and doing everything. And it can do one of two things. Like I told you, it can make them visualize themselves. I need to make sure that I can multitask, work my butt off, blah, 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 blah. Or I have a vision of myself that I am never going to be my mother. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be doctor. I'm going to be this. I'm going to have my business. I'm going to have real estate license, whatever the hell it is. And I'm going to be successful. So I never have to struggle again. Again, her vision, because she sees this woman versus the guy. He sees the same brother and sister, sees the same woman doing the exact same thing.
Understood.
So the brother is going to be weird. I'm going to be just like my mommy versus the daughter saying, I'm going to be just like my mommy or not like my mommy.
Understood.
The guy is going to want to marry his mother, according to Freud, right? For a second, right? Marry his mother, like, you know, a woman who cooks, cleans, this, that, and the other, that I can also sleep with, which is the number one complaint about these women. So
right,
then,
but there's some validity to the complaint, but a lot of it is rooted in insecurity. There is some validity to the complaint about how men feel about how masculine women can be and things like that. So there is validity to them viewing it that way, but they're just not viewing it in a way that is beneficial for anybody. Yeah. Because when you were saying that when Black men tell men to marry out, it's the same thing as when Black women tell Black women to marry out. And I disagree with that, because Black men are being told to marry out in the pursuit of submissiveness. Black women are being told to marry out in the pursuit of security and stability and economic. So it's
success, pretty much,
for a good life. So submissiveness does not make a good life. So and they are not the same.
Submissiveness is different.
It does not. It does not make for a good life. It does not make for a better life for children. It just does not. So there, it is. Even though it sounds like it's the same thing, it is not the same thing. It's not.
That is a bar.
The reasons behind it are very different. They're very different, right?
Yeah, I would love to argue that, but that is.
And I think that's one of the things that I can get frustrated at Black men for, because unfortunately we're already starting at a lower place, right? And yet we're chasing things like submissiveness, right? Like, what's that going to do for your life? What in the world? One second. What in the world? One second. Yeah, what in the world is submissiveness going to do for your life? Which is why whenever I hear them say, oh, men don't care about your degrees and men don't care about your education and men don't care about your income, I'm like, you are absolutely silly for not caring about it, right? Because you're saying you are okay with not having a better quality of life yourself, because if you marry that woman, you yourself will also have a better quality of life. Yeah. Your children will also have a better quality of life. So just saying that sounds so absurd to me.
Why men are chasing submissiveness is deep down they're insecure, obviously. They're hurting. And these are not things that, that's vulnerability. I understand you said all races, but Black men, no, not whatsoever. Black men don't have feelings. Because anger is not a feeling, right? No. Fighting another dude is not a feeling. No. We don't have feelings, right? We're just like military robots, right? And so it reminds me of this video I saw. I know you're going to talk about, where there's this female YouTuber who does a lot of like commentary about, like, you know, basically she makes YouTube content to and profits off of the men's pain, pretty much. Right? She does like a lot of like, oh, here's why you shouldn't date her, and here's why she's taking advantage, like things like that, like things that don't really lead to anything, but men like to hear because
it temporarily feels good.
We want to feel good
temporarily,
right? And so the thing is, she said all Black men deserve to hear this, and she started saying, "You're handsome, you're sexy, I want you, you make me feel safe, you make me feel protected." Yeah. All this other stuff that a ton of Black men probably never heard anyone tell them.
Right, but that is not. But I hear you, honey. Okay. I trust me. I understand. Okay. But I'm just saying we cannot put that weight onto the weight of a woman. It was his mother's responsibility to make sure that she made sure he could see his strengths. That was part of her responsibility. And if he had his father, that was also part of his
Yes.
father's responsibility.
Yes.
And now as an adult, it is now his responsibility to go and find out what his natural strengths are. That is his responsibility now, right? That. So when you go and reparent yourself, it's so that you can give yourself things you were never given. The key word there is yourself. Give yourself things you were never given.
I understand that.
Yeah.
The thing is, we all do negative self-talk.
Yeah.
And that voice that we hear, that you're not good enough, you're whatever, is typically the parent's voice that we have in the back of our head, that we hear, that we learn that through therapy. What I'm saying is you're pretty much wired like a stereotypical man's mind, right? You go straight to the logic. Like
you have to.
Well, here's the thing. You just went, because what you just said could have come across dismissive. I know that's not what your intention was, because I'm here talking about the feelings of men. Like this is a hurtful thing. We don't typically hear women telling us these things, right? And honestly, if you're an attractive woman and you want to make a quick buck, go to YouTube, start a page, and just say good things to black men. They'll eat out the palm of your hands. Like, oh my God, who is this woman? Wifey. No one will ever marry her. But whatever, right? Whenever you look at these women, look at their left finger, nothing there, right? Left ring finger is nothing there, right? So what I'm saying is though, again, work with me, because I know I get it. Like, do your work, right? You sound like a conservative Republican. Like, you can do for yourself and don't depend on the government. That I get that. I completely understand. The thing is this, right? From my understanding, majority of black women want to marry black men. Majority of black women don't want to marry out. They don't want to whatever. They settle by going out. What I'm saying is if our mission statement is to bring singles together, or have couples who are together stay together, or have couples who were together and apart learn co-parenting skills to parent these children better and potentially get back together again, well, there's grace. Men need to have grace for women who are super in their masculine, super driven and aggressive and everything else, and understand why she's not like whatever they assume white women are like, which is not true at all, right? Like, white women are submissive. They're not, right? They're, like, why don't we have, three lake houses, Steve? Right? So what I'm saying is this, okay? Black men need to give black women grace about you're so masculine, you don't need a man, blah, blah, blah. Because you have to ask yourself, why is she saying that? She was born saying this stuff. Because deep down inside, I strongly doubt that women desire to work their butts to the bone and to have calluses on their feet and work 18 hours.
Well, in a way they do, and it's something that I don't like, but in a way they do, because
it's a badge of honor.
It's like a badge of honor. Like it's like the burnout, I'm so busy, and it's unfortunately a badge of honor.
There's this thing you told me about, I think it's called the soft life or something like that. Like a lot of black women
I've heard it, but I don't really know what it is. But I've heard, I don't really truly know what it is, but from my understanding, I think it's supposed to be, I don't know.
What I'm saying is that that's the grace that black women deserve, because these black women are raised by black women who are scorned, who are mad, who have to do things on their own, blah, 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 and figure things out. Like, don't be like me, get your own girl, right? So that's why, and so the men's job, because what men say is like, I don't want to have to deal with that. Okay, cool. She doesn't want to deal with you either. So let's keep doing this, keep this up, and then let the black community be weaker and weaker and weaker amongst the other communities who are populating the United States, right? For example, the Latin community, right? So I think I said in 30 years, they're going to be the number one or whatever, something like that, right? So the grace that I think black women need to give to black men is to understand the process of having a vision and why one would have a vision, why one wouldn't want to have a vision. So it's like you said, you don't believe black women should just want to look for the finished product, whatever it is. The term, I'm not really good at cliches, but the term tip of the iceberg, that man could, you can see him, I don't know, what he does for a living, or not on his spare time. and like, wow, you're talented. He probably never heard that before.
I understood that.
Right? But okay, but we can, babe, we can roll our eyes. Hold on. We can roll our eyes at it and say, well, that's not her problem. It isn't her problem.
Okay.
Right. So cool. It's no Black woman's problem about all these men who were never taught what vision was and don't understand whatever. And it's also none of these Black men's problem for all these Black women who don't understand how to be led.
Yeah,
so
they
cool.
each have to do, no, it's not let's all anything.
Okay.
The conversations have to be had more often and in more spaces so changes can start to happen. Spending the majority of the time talking about what I didn't get just keeps you stuck.
I understand that.
Right?
And again, I get that. You're going straight to the solution. I get that. Okay. It keeps you stuck. What I'm saying is that Black man who meets this successful Black woman entrepreneur who owns 2 salons or whatever it is, right? And I'm a boss B and da-da-da-da, right? And he doesn't like that. He can give her grace by understanding that's her badge of honor because she did not want to be her struggling single mom growing up. He can give her that grace while she's like, hey, what are you good at? Or what da-da-da-da-da-da? And he could be like, well, I always like to, I don't know, I'm a handyman, I like using my hands. Have you ever thought, she can be like, she can plant a seed in his head that he even know existed.
Yeah, but she would not, the thing is, sweetheart, I hear what you're saying, but beliefs, no, honey, I agree with what you're saying, that they weren't given something that they should have been given.
No, that's
and
not,
that women can take on that role and nurture that.
No, yes, but again, yes, okay, I know you do. I know, but again,
I just disagree with it.
I hear you. Yeah. What I'm saying is he approaches her and like super intimidated, whatever. It's kind of like, all right, I get it. She has her stuff together, blah, blah, blah. And she's going to have this guard up because she's not going to allow me to come in here and wreck her what she took how many years to build up. Got it. He can approach her with that grace. And with her, maybe she has a, normal job, blah, blah, blah. And, she's dating him and she sees that he has a talent in something or he's whatever, is a good communicator, whatever it is. And she'd be like, have you ever thought about, or he cooks well. Have you ever thought about, opening a food truck? He's like, what do you mean? Like, your food is really good. I think you should really consider opening a food truck. You really think so? Yeah. Hold on. Right? You really think so? You're like, yeah. And I think you said in the other video, right? If, like, I don't know what, like, when you have a good woman, like, who's like, go, baby, go. I don't know what feels better than that, than actually being in bed with her, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. But being your cheerleader is different than being your nurturer. They're two different things. I absolutely do believe a woman should be. I'm just saying I absolutely do believe that a woman should be a cheerleader for her man and support him and all of that. And I believe the man should do the same for her and cheer her on, and things like that. 100% yes. But that's different from trying to reparent him. Because when you said the thing about she can say, oh, you're good at that. Our beliefs are very tough to change.
Yeah.
Right? They're not easy things to change. They take active, conscious effort and work for us to change them, okay? Because they're deeply ingrained. So the woman can tell him multiple times, you're good at this, you're good at this, you're good at this. But if his beliefs don't allow him to feel that he's good at that, his behavior and his actions are not going to change, right? So it starts with him doing the work, right? It's him that has to do the work to undo those beliefs, right? It's him that has to do the work to give himself what he wasn't given by his mother or his father. It has to be, he has to be the one to do it. I would say the same thing about a woman. She has to be the one to do it. Other people cannot change our beliefs for us. That is our own work to do.
I 100% agree with you.
Okay.
I don't disagree. That I get I should not. So, again, I'm not saying that she should mother him. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is sometimes because I'm a black and white thinker and I'm trying to not be, I'm trying to be more in the gray. As a black and white thinker who's therapy to try to be more in the gray, right? I'm hearing vision, potential. Like potential, no. And I'm here saying like, man, sometimes sometimes it's like a lot of times you'll see on Twitter, somebody was like, oh, here's some drawings I made. And somebody's like, wow, you're really good. It's like, oh, thanks. And I'll have some more stuff. And they were like, and then more people are like, wow, this is really good. Do you have a website? It's like, I don't, but I have like a little Etsy. Like, oh, can you give us a link? We want to buy. And it's like, and that little thing can spark. And again, maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe I'm a bit of a, maybe I'm a bit of a romantic. Maybe I'm, whatever, right? I'm just thinking like, man, hey, do I think there are more good men out there than there are bad? Yes. Do I think that a lot of these men have a lot of unknown unknowns that they don't even know that women are looking for? Because the stereotype of what women are looking for, because IG, social media allowed, is rich, has money, 6'2", does this, blah, 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 blah. Nothing about emotion, nothing about vision, none of that. They aren't talking about how much they want a millionaire or to have vision. No, I just need you to be a millionaire. Whatever, I don't care. That they're not hearing, oh, I need a guy who's with vision. No. Does his vision does his bank account match his vision, kind of thing, right? And that's a stereotype you hear. So what I'm saying is, and I know I'm talking a lot today, what I'm saying is like, again, the words of encouragement, which I don't think is parenting. No. The words of encouragement from a woman you love, a good woman's wisdom, like, hey, babe, I know you're up for this promotion, but babe, you're really talented at cooking.
And I think that's good. And I think that's fine, because that man, but that's what I'm trying to. So again, even in the example there, babe, I know you're up for that promotion, which means that he already has vision. I absolutely do think a wife should encourage her husband. I absolutely believe that a husband should encourage his wife, 100% yes. But at the same time, there is no evidence that marrying potential works out in a healthy way for either partner. It's just not there, because we have to judge people based on their behaviors and their actions, not on what we hope that they will eventually do or eventually become. Right? We can't really operate that way. Marrying potential makes it harder on both partners, because the man ends up feeling emasculated, right? And she ends up losing some respect for him, right? So it's just, the dynamic just does not work out well for the most part. And if our mission is to break the cycles of broken homes, we have to make sure that we stay grounded in the reality of how dynamics work out, right? So that's very important, because I could tell people, women, marry potential, right? But then I'm setting that relationship up for failure, right? Which is anti what our mission is. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I understand you. It makes total sense. I once again, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, if it worked, if there was, if it doesn't mean that doesn't work out for anybody. No, of course it works out for some. I'm just saying, what happens in the majority, it's like, that's all that I'm saying, because changing behavior is extremely difficult. And that's one of the reasons why we expect our partners to change, because we know how hard it is to change ourselves. So we want our partners to change because we're aware of how hard and tough change is, So just in, his wife saying, hey, babe, you're good at this. It doesn't, unfortunately, it doesn't really work like that, because if his beliefs that are deeply ingrained since childhood don't change, no matter how many times she says, hey, babe, I think you could do this, you could do that, it's just not going to register with him. And vice versa, too. It works the same way for women. It's just not going to register, right? It's not going to, because he first has to believe that he can do these things, right? That's where it starts, from within himself. So it has to be him to do the work. That's very different from his wife encouraging him or being his cheerleader. She absolutely should do those things, right? But that's a very different thing. Now, as far as women saying that the man has to be totally complete, whatever that means, I don't even know what that means, before she marries him.
His bank account has to match his vision, pretty much. They didn't want to wait for the process of it.
Well, but...
Which is quite a popular opinion going on right now.
Well, that's something that I think is harmful, because things do happen. The economy, things do happen. So, God forbid something happens and he loses that money, you know. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think it's a good idea to marry potential. I do agree with you that both Black women and Black men should give each other more grace, because we should both understand, you know, our situation way better than anyone else can. So I do think we should give each other that grace, but unfortunately, it just does not work out well when we're marrying potential. It doesn't mean it never works out well. Sometimes it does, you know, but it just doesn't typically work out well. That's, you know, because a lot of times the man too can register her trying to nurture that potential as her trying to change him. It can cause all types of issues in, you know, in a relationship. It just doesn't work out well for the most part.
Okay. It's yeah. It's tough because, like I said, I get it. I get both ends. I get why I understand why having to mother a man is a turnoff. I get it. But it's like, but I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a disconnect with, you know, so is encouragement mothering is
no.
Okay, well, maybe I'm not setting the right parameters because I'm not saying, hey, babe, you know, do you know what a vision is? And do you know, like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying more so like, again, you meet a guy. My best friend loves to cook. I told him, matter of fact, I was having a discussion with him, sort of kind of coaching discussion with him. And, he got a new promotion and he's doing pretty well. And, I was telling him right now, if you can do anything, because we're having a different conversation, if you can do anything you want and be super successful in it, what would you be doing? He kind of understood the question. I'm like, then I kind of like, okay, if you can right now have your own restaurant chain in whichever state you want, right? Is this something that would be like a dream job for you? He's like, absolutely. And I was like, would you, if let's say you won the lottery, would you be a chef for free? He's like, absolutely. Right. So that's his passion. Right. And so, which is where it starts, right? That's his passion. And so I was like, so for example, let's say he's married, by the way, but let's say he's dating someone and let's say like he meets her and cooks her a meal. He's like, wow, this is really good. And it's only one meal. Then he cooks something else. Then another one. And he's like, have you ever, and she kind of like, again, his mother maybe never told him how great of a cook he was.
Understood.
Neither did his sister, whatever it is. But like this one woman, like, I see something in you. Is that mothering? It's
not that it's mothering. It's that
so what's
you're not going deeper into it of what it actually takes to get him to the point where he actually believes he can do it. And I think that's where we're not in alignment here, because I don't disagree that she should encourage him. I don't think encouragement is mothering per se. I'm saying what it takes, the process it takes for her to be responsible for changing his belief system is nurturing and mothering him. So in the example that you just gave, no matter how many times the woman he's dating or he's married to says, hey, you'd be a great chef, he has to believe already that he'd be successful in that. In order for her to help him feel like to believe that he'd be successful in that, she'd have to help him change his belief system about himself.
Right, but I think
unfortunately it doesn't work that way.
I get it, but I think that's the part where women don't realize how powerful they can be.
But the thing is, if women were powerful, then marrying potential, we'd have evidence that it works. But we don't have evidence that it works. It's not that it doesn't work out for some people, but we don't have evidence that it works out well, right? If women were powerful enough to change a man's belief system, we'd have evidence that marrying potential works. But we don't have evidence that marrying potential works. Does that make sense? We don't have it.
Yes, it makes sense.
It actually happens. It's actually the opposite that happens. He feels like she's trying to change him. He feels emasculated. She feels like she's mothering him. She loses respect for him. It's a complete opposite that actually happens. So it just doesn't work out well.
You're just going straight to the data and the proof and the this and that.
It just doesn't work out well. I wish I could say that hey, it works out well. I just don't have the proof that it works out well. I just don't have it.
I feel like every guy watching this will understand it. Like, we'll be like, yeah, would be like 100% in agreement. Because again, I'm not saying only, women need to do this for men. I'm talking about the men need to give this to women. And if they both give it to each other, because the reason why we are in this situation is because of the decisions that our parents made or didn't make. That's why we're here in the first place.
Understood.
So because of this, woman is insecure and she doesn't want to ever be known as a woman who's not successful. She goes crazy hard and works in entrepreneurship and blah, blah, blah. Guy, so I saw my mom do everything. We just go to get this job, whatever. I'm good, I'm done. I get he becomes a soft place for this woman who has a hard exterior, which allows her to fall into her feminine. And she becomes a soft, encouraging place for him to allow him to become more into his masculine. And that happening together, in my opinion.
I agree with that, but that's different from marrying potential. I agree with what you just said 100%.
Okay.
Marrying
potential.
Yeah.
Okay. Before marrying, dating, and up until, serious relationship, like you do that during the dating process where this is my boyfriend, or this is my fiance, or this is my girlfriend, this is my fiance, whatever, right? You're not married yet, but by the time during the boyfriend-girlfriend stage, she's auditioning herself to be a wife by giving him that wisdom, and he's auditioning himself to be a husband by being able to take some of her wisdom and being able to implement that into whatever vision that he has and put in a plan to execute.
I get that, but when a man is stuck at potential, what he's struggling with is implementation. So that's what he's struggling.
But that's
with.
What I'm saying. I'm not saying it's.
That's what he's struggling with, right? No, I mean that's what he's struggling with.
I get it, but again, I'm speaking from experience.
I understand that. I do.
So
I understand
I
understand that, which is why I said there's nothing that's 100%. But the evidence that it works just still is not there. If it worked out well, there would be evidence that marrying potential works out well for both partners. But it doesn't work out well for either partner. It just doesn't work out well. And it's just not a good dynamic for either partner to be in. Which is why I'm saying focusing on the past is really a waste of time, right? But I do understand that grieving process needs to happen first. We could remove some of that, that mud that we have, so that we can make space for learning new things. So I just don't think that focusing on the past is going to move us anywhere, and then talking and continuing, continuing to talk more about what we didn't have, about what we didn't get, my father wasn't there. Right. He wasn't there. Now, what's next? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying.
My father wasn't there, and I don't really understand what a vision is, or blah blah blah. I don't really even know what I'm that good at. But you telling me this opened my eyes to it, and what you're saying is majority of men are not going to take it that way. Is that what you're saying? Because
they do not take it that way. They take it as him being changed. They take it as she's trying to change him. They don't see it as a positive. They see it as she's trying to change him. And he ends up feeling emasculated, and she ends up losing respect for him.
By her simply complimenting him and saying the potential she sees.
No, because the potential that if I say you'd be really good at this, the other side of that is what you're doing right now isn't really that good in a way, right? So it's kind of like now a man who is emotionally mature will understand that she's saying something good. Yeah. But many men do take it as she's trying to change me. Yeah. They don't see it as a good thing that they just really don't.
I understand.
And he ends up feeling emasculated in that relationship. He ends up feeling not good enough in that relationship. It just does not work out well. I hear what you're saying. And if it was as simple as say good things to your man and he will become, whatever. I wish I could say that. Right. But beliefs are they just don't work that way. Before you go after anything, you first have to believe you can do it. You first have to believe that it's possible for you, because you might think it's possible for other people, right? But you first have to believe that it's possible for you. It starts there first. Once you believe it's possible for you, that's when you start to take the steps to get toward that goal. But if you're starting at a place where you think that it's not possible for you, no matter how many times your wife or your girlfriend tells you, hey, you'd be good at this, hey, you'd be good at this, hey, you'd be good at this, it's like it goes in one ear and out the other.
I get it too, because even men will agree. It's like, oh, like a lot of the dudes are like, oh, you should never follow women's lead type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And women should be following, your vision and blah, 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 right? So, so in essence, it's like saying, having her tell you what your vision should be type of thing, which can make a man feel masculine.
He ends up feeling emasculated. He ends up feeling not good enough. It does not work out well. It doesn't mean that it never works out well. No, nothing is absolute, right? But typically it just doesn't work out well, unfortunately.
No, I understand. So, again, so then I'm like, I don't know what the outlook is.
The outlook is, we first have to start making these conversations commonplace, right? Instead of talking about, body parts, and instead of sending each other pictures of body parts, maybe start sending stuff that can actually help the men, Black men, upgrade their life, right? Maybe start sending things about vision, how to establish vision, what vision means, and we start making these conversations more commonplace. Instead of barbershop.
When you send you talking about like DMing each other, type of thing? Or what do you
talking about men and how you guys send each other pictures of women and what do you think about her? What do you think about her? That doesn't do anything for his life, right? Maybe start sending things about vision, right? I understand you guys do it for bonding, whatever, great. I don't care. But you can also help the men that you say you care about. You can also help them upgrade their lives, right? To upgrade their self-confidence, to believe that good things about themselves, and to focus more on those things, right?
Got it.
Instead of barbershop talk just being whatever it is that you guys talk about in the barbershop, maybe sometimes throw in conversation about vision, right? Maybe sometimes throw in conversations about what it means to have vision, what it looks like, what that process is like, right? Because that man who owns the barbershop likely had vision, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, right. And he can have these
conversations with
these conversations. And it's actually the perfect place for these conversations to happen, because these are like predominantly all male spaces, except for when moms are in there, getting their kids a haircut. Yeah. So the barbershop is actually a perfect place for men to have conversations about self-improvement, right? It's the perfect place to do it. But first, men have to actually care enough to do it, right? They have to care enough to do it. They have to recognize that I need to learn how to do this thing. I wasn't taught how to do this thing, because we can't undo the past. There's nothing that can be done about that. So it's like, okay, what do we do now moving forward, right? What's our next step next? That's what I'm saying. Because it's up to each individual to do the work themselves. Other people cannot be responsible, nor can they change our belief systems. It's just not possible. As a matter of fact, if you do think you have the power to change someone, that's arrogance, right? Because you don't. We don't have the power to force change in another person. We just don't have that power. It has to be that person themselves that wants to change, that wants to make changes. And I understand what you're saying about these men weren't taught, and I empathize 100% with them. I do. I empathize with them 100%, yes. But at the same time, just because I empathize with them doesn't mean I should feel like the right thing to do is to put that burden onto women, because I don't believe that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm sorry. This was a very interesting conversation. I think this should spark, quite a lot of different conversations in the comments. I think it should be an ongoing one. Like I said, I get the point. I get it. I understand why it's men should not want to be mothered by their woman, right? Because if they do, it's going to turn their woman off, which is then going to make the woman less interested in them, which is then going to lower their touch, which is going to, it's a vicious cycle.
It just doesn't work. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I get it. I understand why, you know, women who don't want to waste time, you should marry vision. I get it. I just, yeah, end of the day, you know, again, if we as men want to be these leaders and be the heads and everything else, it starts with us, you know. And the thing is, a lot of men are like, oh, it starts with us. But the thing is, the example we already saw is it starts with women, because that's what we saw our mothers doing.
Okay, and again, so, we're going back to the past.
No, I'm not trying to go back to the past. I'm telling you, it's path. It's like it's like a break down, rebuild, reframe type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's basically what therapy is.
Yeah.
And it's not done overnight.
It's not.
And
it's not done overnight. Unfortunately, it's not. But at the same time, even though it's not done overnight, there are therapies that are short term, right?
Yeah.
So it's not all therapies that go on for a long time. Yeah. Like cognitive behavioral therapy, maybe, 3 months, 4, months, whatever.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to go on forever. Right? You just have to be willing to do the research to figure out what options are out there for you to help you to do that reparenting work. Right? Like that's, and it's not just men. Again, I don't want it to come across like it's just men, because it's women too.
Yeah,
women have their reparenting work to do as well.
We all have our reparenting.
Right? We all, we all have it. So,
just to close off, would you say that's probably like the number one? That should be the number one priority in the Black community, that Black men and Black women do whatever they can to reparent themselves and heal. That should be.
I think absolutely the number one, not necessarily the number one priority, because we have a lot of other things we're dealing with. But I mean, the first step. Yeah. The first step that we have control over.
Yeah.
Because we can get into like systemic racism, all that, but I'm saying the first step that we actually have control over is reparenting ourselves. And you don't have to do that through therapy. It's best to do that through, therapy, right? But you don't have to do it through therapy. You can also do it on your own. You can also do it through coaching, right?
Yeah.
You have the option of whatever works best, for you.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that was a really good conversation. Let's wrap things up. As always, if you don't know our mission statement by now, it's to help break, to do whatever we can to help break the awful generational cycles of fatherless children, burnt out single moms, and broken homes. And we thank you for joining us on this journey. Hopefully you join us on many, many more. See you next time.